prices, if you haven't checked lately, are rather expensive.
Yeah.
A big part of this, of course, is because of the bird flu, which the Trump administration seems only to slightly be taking somewhat seriously, although with incredibly crazy ideas that we're almost watching like the redux of, what about bleach? If we put bleach inside of us, because they're talking about like chickens don't fly. So maybe what we do is we kill the rest of the birds around. I've honestly.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And they fired the people at the USDA who are supposed to be responsible for this. They tried to get them back. I wonder if they will. The DOJ is also looking into the problem that we have a potential monopoly within the egg producers. Good. We have monopolies in a ton of these things. Yes, that's encouraging.
But they're also looking into the potential that they are price gouging on eggs, which I was told by a lot of folks in the New York Times back in the day that this was a left-wing conspiracy theory, the greedflation thing. Now even the Trump administration is accepting the fact that a lot of this inflationary stuff was the result of corporations taking advantage of the pandemic and price gouging people.
I can't believe that. No, that's not true. And here is Donald Trump and his Treasury Secretary. Let's start with the Treasury Secretary Bessent. I'm not exactly sure what an economic detox means, but this is what the guy is saying we should be anticipating.
There's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. There's going to be a detox period.
I think that's
okay.
temporary.
That is a roundabout way of saying we're going to maybe have a recession. The idea that we're addicted to government spending is one of the dumbest concepts that you could possibly have. The only difference is going to be is that we're going to be addicted to private spending, and private spending far less efficient. This is just simply a fact, because definitionally, if it's private spending, and we're talking about on a scale to replace government agencies, because that's what we're talking about. They're going to privatize, state national parks. Incidentally, national parks, like the IRS, 6-to-1 return on the dollar. For every $1 you spend at in a federal park, the government does, we get 6 back on that. That's going to be privatized. I think we were talking about that 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
About their desire to do that. All of these things are going to get privatized, lop 10, 20% off of the cost. And know that's the inefficiency there, because that's what the board of directors, that's what the shareholders are going to want in terms of profit. And that's a minimum. That's a minimum.
He is admitting there that they're doing shock therapy on the country. Like, that is the shock doctrine. They are trying to privatize everything, but they're creating a temporary economic harm, essentially knowing that that's going to happen to people, so they can build the country back up in their image, which is a really privatized model. Elon Musk was on stage at CPAC with Javier Milei, who with a chainsaw, which is what Milei did in Argentina, and now over 50% of the population is in poverty, as he guts social programs and also attacked government workers down in Argentina as well. It's the same model, and that's incredibly scary. It's a giant crypto scam and a privatization scheme using shock therapy on the public.
And the idea of like being addicted to government spending is so baby-brained. We're going to be we're addicted to money in many respects too. Like, we need it to buy things.
Right.
And so just even the concept of being addicted to government spending is absurd. We can always have government spending unless, of course, we cut taxes and just allow big corporations to do the job of government, but to do it poorly, because their number one job will be profit making. Here's Donald Trump, also a little hesitant to admit that we're going to go through a detox.
And I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget, I made.
So there it is. I mean, he and Bissent have obviously talked about this, and to the extent that Trump can absorb anything, he knows that, like, there's going to be a little bit of pain. And when I say there's going to be a little bit of pain, I don't mean for me or rich people, but for the others.
Yeah.
The others, there's going to be pain.
That's what the tariffs are as well. They are a compounding regressive tax, like the sales tax that disproportionately affects people of lower income, or working people, middle-class people too. This just makes it so that the price of goods increase, and Trump is saying we can get all this revenue. But you know what we could also do is just tax the rich. But that's what they don't want to do. And so this is going to be on the backs of everyday people. That's the reality of this.
M. Beer makes the point that they're not looking to just privatize national parks, that they are also looking to privatize Social Security. And this, again, has been at least a 20-year goal specifically to privatize it. And I have no doubt that's what this is about. The idea of, like, you know, fraud and waste and all this, always been a cover. In fact, I dedicated a big chunk of my Jubilee in anticipation of this, their attack on Social Security. Might have been better if it came out like in a month or two, when they really are, it's really quite clear. Although right now we can see the Social Security Administration is under assault. And when they make it look like there's a problem, you know, doing all this, the government's inefficient doing it. With 1/4 of the workforce it's supposed to have to execute this, we need to send it to, I don't know, United Health. Maybe they'll do our Social Security.
It has to be said, we don't spend that much. Our governments don't spend that much per GDP. It's about 36%. There's countries in Europe that you get 40 to 50%. We do not spend a lot.
And that 36% is on the entire operations. 36% of our GDP on the entire operations. There was a guy in the, what do you call it, in the whatever it was I just did, the Jubilee thing, who said that was welfare as opposed to everything. Well, welfare is like 1 to 2, like 4% if you include, like, you're very generous with that definition.
The national park spending also returns more money than we.
Yeah, that's what I just said, 6 to 1.
Yeah.
IRS. 6-7 to 1.
Yeah. I mean, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
But imagine if H&R Block did it instead.
Gregorian wants to know, how would you privatize Social Security? You would have the administration of it done privately, and then you just put it into the stock market. And of course, who's going to invest it for you? Well, a whole cadre of financial advisors.
Get some nice fees.
And not only are they going to have fees, but they're going to be able to manipulate the market. If you give me billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to manage, I can decide which stocks are going to perform well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the you know, this is why people track huge funds, pension funds, and who's administering these funds, because you know when they sink this money into a sector or a specific company, it's going to go up. We'll do a Social Security privatization, sort of like a throwback from George W. Bush. And the way that he set it up, too, incidentally, same deal. Walked into a room in Treasury and go, look it, there's no money here. It's all just IOUs, just paper. Incidentally, our currency, paper as well. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.